Hey everyone, welcome to a rant about cancel culture, part 2. You know what? I think a lot of the frustration lately stems from the restrictions related to the C word. The vitriol is obvious in some of the media, and a quick example I'm going to use would be the most recent one, the trucker convoy to Ottawa. I mean, it was easy to understand what it was about with a simple Google search and 2 minutes of reading. But certain media and influencers and more portrayed it as a fringe group of individuals. I mean, even the term terrorists was used by some politicians who joined in to suggest there was an insurrection pending on Parliament Hill. And some, well, they were just silent. I mean, it doesn't matter what side you're on, and this isn't about that, but you should at least gather the facts before crystallizing an opinion on any trending issue you feel like commenting on. Or at least that's my opinion. So here we are. This is a whole new level of cancel culture now. One thing we should be able to trust is that we have the right to our freedom of speech, and without it being canceled. I'll follow up that statement and say, but within reason, or without making derogatory comments or gathering a mob to support your assertion. I mean, troll accounts simply inflame divisiveness, and they often hide in anonymity. And they're the worst ones for spreading that vitriol. Misinformation or fake news, whatever you want to call it, is used to support a viewpoint without even further review. I mean, fact checkers? What a joke. And canceling mobs will sometimes join in the fray if they're incited, or hey, they can even be coordinated. I mean, you see, the attempt of social media was really to unite people around the world, and it's sadly taken a different direction. And it's confirmed by numerous studies now that it's affecting people's mental health. And I'd suggest it's made them angrier. Even the Hollywood misfits have continued on their path of cancel culture as we're forced to absorb their infinite views on climate change, political superiority, or who mistreated who 10, 20 years ago. Some of these hypocrites are hardly the moral compass to aspire to. Oh, and politicians feel that they can't escape this wrath. I still can't understand why some of them have accounts. I mean, the people running them bite back far too often. Either that or they're just simply trying to deflect some issue. Or they're trying to rally the mob themselves. I mean, let's be honest. Years ago, there wasn't a divisiveness like it exists today. So really, I guess the question is, how do you turn back the clocks on this divisive, hateful, trashy speech? I mean, how do we move the conversation back from extremism to the center, where there's usually compromise? That's a good question, and honestly, I have some thoughts. The simple one: stop the cancel culture bullshit and recognize that people are going to have differing opinions to yours. That's life. And we used to accept that. I mean, who told people otherwise? I mean, to this point, it's okay to organize and attempt to change an opinion or a law, but you may not be successful. And if you approach it with civility and calm, you'll likely be more successful. And if not, at least you tried, and you believe in your convictions still. The other is, strengthen your ability to remain calm and collective when replying to someone on their post. You disagree. That's fine, but simply put, if you wouldn't say it to their face, why would you say it to them through social media? And I mean, to that point, as time goes on, new laws are developed, and they're adapted for social media comments. And legal action against others for defamation, slander, and more is becoming commonplace. You can't hide even though you think you're anonymous. You're not. Now, I'll never advocate for government oversight on media outlets, but certainly there are headlines that are simply clickbait, and they're meant to sensationalize a story. And even the story itself may even lack integrity or be more of an opinion piece. That's fine if it's identified as that. But the media have to be held to account for their part in this hypocrisy. So far, fact-checking has been a joke and an absolute failure. So I don't know, maybe a well-balanced public oversight committee would have more success with that. Now, while we all love the opportunity to connect with our politicians online, some of the replies to them are just ignorant. Hey, even I've been caught that way, but don't complain when you get blocked for that. You likely deserved it. But it's unnecessary and it doesn't resolve anything. But as part of that, I mentioned it earlier, politicians should also be held to a higher standard. They were elected to represent you and the rest of the people in your community. They generally hire people to manage most of their social media. They need to be better at their messaging and not further infuriate people with some offhanded response. I mean, that goes back to the old saying, two wrongs don't make a right. Now, we all like Hollywood and athletes. Hey, I do. I have my favorites, but I'll watch them play their sport or I'll watch their movies or shows. I'm not watching them because I want their opinion on today's trending issues. I'm not saying that they shouldn't share their opinions, but some of them are definitely looking for the spotlight again, or they're being paid to speak up. You know, relevancy is slipping away. All I can say is stick to acting or your sport. And I mean, that brings me closer to the end of my rant. I mean, I mentioned earlier on some of the studies and articles. One in particular is how to curb cancel culture and bring some stability and less divisiveness back to the world. I'll leave links to those down below. But I will leave you with this, and it's some advice from K.C. James. She's the Heritage Foundation's former president and leader in government, academia, and the conservative movement. She's quoted as saying, "In the end, you can't be afraid to speak up for what you know is right. You will inspire others to follow your lead. And when more people speak up, we'll reach enough critical mass to eventually cancel culture." Wise words. Anyhow, thank you for watching, and if you found value in this video, please subscribe. But until next time, earn it. Don't expect it. Take care.